Rainier Avenue Radio.
Oh my man. You know, everybody goes through a storm sometimes.
God is. And Rainier Avenue Radio.world have a new address. We're now located at 4916 Rainier Avenue South in Columbia City, 98118. God is still loving on your community, being a blessing and meeting the needs of the people. Don't miss any of our amazing shows. Your favorite community radio station. Tune in and come on down and get some free food and let us continue to love on you. Don't forget to tune in. See you soon for free food and free entertainment with God is and Rainier Avenue Radio.
Hello, I'm Tony Young, and every week I will be your guide to the music of the Fab Four with my show With the Beatles. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr, those four lads from Liverpool. First airings are Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. with repeats on Thursdays and Saturdays from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Tune in to catch Beatlemania.
This is Big Poppy, host of Jazz from the Cabinets. Join me each week for a listening tour of the first century of jazz, an eclectic mix of Dixieland, big band, cool jazz, bebop, contemporary jazz, world jazz, all jazz in all forms. That's Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy on Rainier Avenue Radio, streaming worldwide on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
Do you have an idea for a community project in your neighborhood? You could be eligible for up to $50,000 in funding through the City of Seattle's Neighborhood Matching Fund. Grants are awarded to grassroots projects that build stronger communities, with an emphasis on projects led by impacting Black, Indigenous, and people of color BIPOC communities. To learn more about the Neighborhood Matching Fund or to see if your project meets the criteria, visit seattle.gov/neighborhoods/NMF.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not translating the lyrics of Boogie Oogie Oogie for bored Europeans, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
You know what time it is? It's time for LidLine Sports. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. I am Pep, and my man O is also with me. What's happening, O? Otis Stevenson. What's good?
Doing, man?
You know, we're supposed to be talking about something today, but I for the life of me, I can't think of it right now. But I'm sure. Oh, wait a minute. I know what it is. Yeah, they had the Super Bowl yesterday.
Oh, that happened yesterday?
Yeah, that happened yesterday. How did you I don't want to ask dumb questions right off the bat. So What did you think of it? Because I know you watched it.
I was gonna say I get it. I think this was the most NFL I've watched this year, but I for sure don't miss the Super Bowl. And it was everything advertised. I went into this believing that the 49ers were the better overall team.
Mm-hmm.
And they did show that for most of the game. But the problem is just when you get in front of a gamer, like there's just guys in every sport that if they have the ball in their hands when it matters, it's just your chances of winning that game is just unlikely. And you got the Tom Brady's, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryants, and guys like that. And you knew that. I think everybody knew that once Pat Mahomes got the ball back in overtime with the chance to win it with a touchdown, Every 49ers fan, anybody who bet on the 49ers, they were shaking in their boots. And he did exactly what he's done, and he keeps this track, man. You got to put that GOAT next to him. I don't want to jinx him, but yeah, man, he's the real deal. And he put the Chiefs on his back in the overtime and pretty much the whole game, and they got it done for their third Super Bowl in 6 years. Crazy, 2 in a row.
Oh, this is why I like you having a partner. You read my mind somehow, because everything you said pretty much is what I was thinking, for one thing. See, here we saw the difference between an elite quarterback and a decent quarterback. And a decent quarterback, and there's no I'm not trying to disparage Brock Purdy whatsoever. I mean, for a guy that was the last pick in the draft 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever it was, that's pretty phenomenal that a seventh round guy gets, or whatever round it was, gets to the Super Bowl and is the starting quarterback, right? I mean, you can't take that away from him. But the thing about it is, if he was an elite quarterback or even a great quarterback, he would have found a way to win that game in overtime. He would have found a way to get into the end zone in overtime, right? Against Mahomes and the Chiefs. The Chiefs have basically one weapon, and that's Travis Kelce. Yet they have an elite quarterback who can make it work. He basically took a team that, if you look on the offensive side of the ball, as far as the wide receivers are concerned, are so pedestrian, it is pathetic. They even scratched a healthy Kadarius Toney and still won the Super Bowl. I mean, come on, man. That's how you could tell. That's what shows you how good Mahomes is. Now, was Mahomes elite the entire game? Heck no. He had he had moments where he was like, it wasn't working. But, is that his fault, or is it the fact that, okay, we saw what he had to work with, and sometimes it's not going to work? So when it counted, Patrick Mahomes led a 13-play, 75-yard drive all the way to the end zone at the end to end the game. And so what San Francisco failed to do was, they had opportunities, like Mahomes on third down, he converted every time on that drive. Every single time he converted. San Francisco could not do that. Purdy could not do that. He was 1 for 3 in the last time, and the only one that he really got on third down is because of a penalty on McDuffie.
Yeah.
So that gives you the difference. Now, look, San Francisco's still stacked, right? But the problem is, when you face a guy or a team that is an elite team or a good team, a very, very good team, similar to them, they're going to struggle. And they've struggled against the Packers, struggled against Detroit, but they were able to overcome because, why? They don't have an elite quarterback like Kansas City. If Kansas City was with Detroit, San Francisco would not be in this game. If Kansas City was in Green Bay, or if Mahomes was in Green Bay, you guys know what I meant. If Mahomes is in Detroit or Mahomes is in Green Bay, San Francisco does not get into the Super Bowl. If Mahomes was playing San Francisco against Kansas City and Purdy was on Kansas City, guess what? San Francisco would be Super Bowl champions. And the word elite gets tossed around so freely, and I don't like it, because to me, there's only a few elites. Jordan's elite. Kobe was elite, right? Brady, elite. Joe Montana, elite. Mahomes, elite. Lamar Jackson, very good, great. He's not elite. Josh Allen is good to great. Very well, very good to very, whatever. But they're not elite. Elite is a very high status, and it's rarefied air. So right now we have one elite quarterback in the NFL, and that's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, and I kind of look at it too when it comes to Brock Purdy. Um, yeah, it's just always there's just spots where you just like I think you said where you just ask like, dang, if they had maybe something here instead of Brock like to make those plays, like yes, it'd be all great. Now to me, I thought Brock Purdy had a good game, to say the least. I thought, of course, that defense did a really good job on the Chiefs, especially that front line getting after Pat Mahomes. So yes, it gives Brock Purdy some leeway to be just solid enough. But I had no issue with Brock Purdy's game today or yesterday for the most part. I thought that they could have done a better job utilizing Christian McCaffrey in the fourth quarter and overtime because, like I said, it's but yes, you have to do it through the air. But it just sucks that you have to rely on Brock Purdy in those type of scenarios when you have somebody like Christian McCaffrey, who yes did touch the ball. A lot of them was check downs though. I have no issue with Brock Purdy being the quarterback there next year. It's a question now if that'll be, because I'm sure just like what you're saying, the 49ers front office is probably saying the same thing when it comes to just having not just like you said, not maybe an elite, but just a good playmaker from the quarterback position. But like I said, I have no issue with Brock Purdy being there. But yeah, like I said, I just think it's having him in spots where having a better quarterback in spots, a better playmaker in spots at that quarterback position, because especially you're going up against a guy like Pat Mahomes, you give him the ball when it matters, you can wrap it up. But once again, I knew this was going to be a low-scoring game, two very good defenses. They both came and showed out in this game as well. Like I said, the 49ers front line, they did a really good job getting after Pat Mahomes for the most part. Yeah, man, there's not much different that the 49ers could have done to win this game. You just give that guy the ball when it matters. They could have been playing against the AFC All-Stars or the NFC All-Stars. And if Pat Mahomes has the ball with a chance to win, it's not looking too good. So I definitely hear what you're saying, Pep. But I thought those were the two best teams. I do think also, too, that the 49ers did play their best game for last. They did not have the greatest showings, especially defensively in the playoffs. So I did think they played their best game in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, but they just ran into Pat Mahomes.
All right, so in the regular season, it fools everyone. When teams, because here's the thing: San Francisco ran through a lot of teams, and Baltimore ran through a lot of teams in the regular season. But you got to remember, you're not playing elite teams or great teams every week.
Yeah,
you're playing a lot of teams that you should beat, and they do beat, and that's what I like. Here's the thing about San Francisco: they beat the teams they should, they smoke them, they do what they're supposed to do, right? They beat the Cardinals, they beat teams like the Titans and Cincinnati, without Burrow, of course. They beat up teams like Denver and Seattle, whatever, Arizona. They'll beat them up. But when it comes to teams that have some substance to them, they struggle a little bit. And of course, the deeper you get in the playoffs, the better teams you're going to play. So I'm not surprised. And when I said it last week, that Kansas City was being disrespected for being underdogs because they're the defending champions. And they have an elite quarterback that people, dismiss. Yeah, they got shut out on Christmas Day against the Raiders. But like I said, this is the regular season. Stuff like that happens. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, you get to the playoffs, then that's when the cream of the crop shows up. Let me get through some stats real quick on San Francisco. Brock Purdy was 23 of 38 for 255, one TD, no picks, which is okay. 23 of 38. I mean, to be honest, you could be a little bit more efficient.
I'm mad at that.
If you're gonna be throwing 38 times, you need to convert. You need to hit 30, 31. Okay, you need to be 30 of 38. But I'm just saying, maybe I'm being a little hard, but 15 incompletions, let's say, is that really got that good, especially in a big game like that? See, and then you got rushing. Okay, so we got Christian McCaffrey. He had 22 carries. That's great. He had 80 yards, which is okay for the best running back in the league, and he is. That's only 3.6 yards a carry. So Kansas City did a great job in holding that down. Deebo Samuel had 3 carries, in the little trick plays that they use, and he only had 8 yards. McCaffrey in receiving, he had 8 catches for another 80 yards. So McCaffrey did his job, right? He had like 30 different times where he got the ball, and as far as receiving and carrying the ball, and he had 160 yards total. That's great. I mean, you can hardly ask for anything more than that. But Ayuk he only had 3 catches. Juwan Jennings had 4 catches. He had the most catches actually for the Niners. Deebo only had 3, and they had minimal yards.
Yep.
Because Ayuk had 3 catches, 49 yards, 16 yards a catch. That's actually pretty good, but he wasn't getting the ball. Right? 3 catches for Ayuk. That's not gonna get it done.
Yeah, agree.
Especially in a big game like this. And then of course, Juszczyk, the fullback even had a couple of catches. And Deebo, like I said, he only had 3 catches, 33 yards, 11 yards a catch. That's fine. That's first down every time, but they're not significant yards as far as they're not big yaks. And that's what San Francisco thrives off of. And look, George Kittle, 2 catches for 4 yards.
Yeah, that's not good enough.
That is unacceptable.
And people try to say like he's a better blocking T than he is a receiving tight end. He's a playmaker in every facet of the field. There's no reason why
he's blocking, then you're not winning.
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because when Ayuk, Samuel, McCaffrey, and Kittle are all clicking, and they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
But when you're playing a great defense like Kansas City, they're going to put a stop to a couple of those guys, and that's going to be the difference. Now, your quarterback is going to have to find a way to get the ball to his weapons. Brock Purdy is a script follower. He's not going to go off the rails. He's not going to improvise or anything like that. And that's why you have those pedestrian numbers that you've seen that I've just talked about. Like in the regular season, like sometimes you got Deebo with 8 catches, 150 yards. You got Ayuk with 7 or 8 catches for another 120. You got Kittle 5 catches for 90. I've seen that plenty of times, but it didn't happen today or yesterday.
Yep.
And is that on Purdy? Well, I can't say that it is, but because he didn't lose the game.
Agree.
He didn't. He's not the reason why they lost.
Agree.
But he didn't win it either.
Yep.
He ain't the reason why they won because they didn't win.
That's the perfect way to put it. It's like I said, he didn't lose it, but he also didn't make those plays. Also helped them win it. He had chances too in overtime. So I definitely agree. And if there was anything that we knew that the Chiefs were going to do defensively, is they're going to try to take out the running game as much as possible, put the ball in Brock Purdy's hands to make plays. And I thought that they did a pretty good job at that, taking away Deebo Samuels, George Kittle, and all those guys. If Christian McCaffrey is, and I'm not saying it as a bad way because he's a good receiver too. If he's your top reception guy, and top yards, I think you did your job as a defense because there's too many weapons on that team.
Yes.
Except for George Kittle only have 3. Deebo Samuels only have 3 receptions. That's
right.
That shouldn't happen.
Exactly, and San Francisco had plenty of opportunity first half.
Yep.
And then you go up 10-0, right? That's when you put the pedal down, right, and just go ahead and start slinging it. If you just put them away because you got to put Kansas. You got to try to put the team away. Kansas City, you got to try to demoralize them if you can. Try to get them down, but you let Pat Mahomes continue to just hang and hang because Kansas City, they weren't really spectacular on it by any stretch. I didn't see them doing anything super spectacular.
Uh,
But Mahomes, when you look at the game, it's crazy to me because I watched the whole game. When they told me when they announced the stats later, I was like, "What?" He was 34 of 46 for 33 yards. But neither team was getting down the field as far as big plays. You didn't
Yep.
see any 50-yard bombs,
Only
right?
one, right?
Yeah.
First
But I
quarter.
mean,
Yeah. But I
yeah,
get what you're saying. Yeah.
you didn't see a plethora of those. You know, he had two TDs and one terrible pick. Like I said, he wasn't on the entire game, but he was on, and he's always on. It seems when it matters most. I mean, rushing, he took the ball, he took off and got 66 yards on 9 carries. Pacheco had 18 carries, 59 yards. You know, he only averaged 3.3 yards a carry. Receiving, you know, Kelsey, he's the only real weapon they had. To be honest, let's be factual here. Travis Kelsey was the only weapon Mahomes had to deal with. Deal to, as far as getting the ball, and he got 9 catches, which is great. And they actually held him pretty good. I mean, yeah, he averaged 10.3 yards a catch, but he had 93 yards. But McCole Hardman had 3 catches. Watson had 3 catches. Rashae Rice had 6, but it was minimal because he only had 39 yards. So they were pretty much in check as far as the wideouts. Because look, we all know Kansas City's wideouts aren't very good this year. But guess what? They still get rings. They still get rings. You know, Mahomes one weapon and he wins the title. Purdy multiple weapons and they get nothing. Man, that's discouraging. But look, Purdy's going to be there. He's on a rookie contract and they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. It just doesn't make sense next year to say, well, is he going to be the guy? Well, you got to go to him. You got to make him the guy. Right? I mean, if you believe in his talent, then you've got to do some things to change up some things. You got to get him to be the guy. If he needs to look at the Super Bowl and look at Mahomes and see what he does, or if we look at Josh Allen and see what he does during the offseason, whatever he's got to do, he's going to have to sometimes go off script and make things happen because that team is too talented. They have too many weapons. And listen, it's a short window for every NFL team because the more weapons and talent you have, what do you have to do? You have to pay them.
Yep.
Everybody can't get paid.
Yep.
So your window of opportunity is limited.
And I think that's
in your window.
And I think that's the other thing though too with San Francisco. I think somebody also said it that they got a lot of players to pay on the defensive end. So yeah, they don't have money to really go spend to even get a quarterback like that anyway. Brock Purdy's under contract on a really good salary, and like I said, he's winning. So I think that is the option of you still develop him. He's still a younger quarterback.
Yeah.
See what you have over the next couple of years. That's why I say I hope he is there. I think he should be there.
I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, because look, you might get back to the Super Bowl. There's no guarantee Kansas City will. What if you get to the Super Bowl and somebody like, let's say Cleveland, right? Let's say Cleveland gets hot and they get into the Super Bowl next year. Well, who's their quarterback? Well, and you know, with Purdy's experience, maybe he can overcome that.
Yeah.
So you just don't know.
Yeah.
So, but man, the Tex, man, they're on a roll here. And Carter made a good point. They have to pay a lot of players, which you just mentioned.
Okay.
And then Mr. Schroeder, our guy, is on a roll today talking about the Jets and that Aaron Rodgers is going to be the MVP next year. Okay, sure. That's my guy, though. So yeah. And John Hughley, welcome back, man. We haven't seen you in a while, so it's good to see you on here. So yeah, man, I tell you. Oh, and am I the only one? I know what you said earlier. To me, that first half was a snooze fest. If I was not at a Super Bowl party, like at a friend's house, if I was at home alone, I would have took 2 or 3 naps. I'm telling you, because man, that like nothing in the first quarter, then what 10-3 in the second quarter. I was like, man, come on, when are we gonna get cracking here? And look, the second half was a little better, but the game was close. So that's why everybody's saying, yeah, oh, this is outstanding. This is the best Super Bowl ever. Really? Was it even better than the first time Kansas City and San Francisco played in the Super Bowl? I beg to differ. That game was good too. And Kansas City had to come back from 10 points down in the fourth quarter.
I definitely caught myself too, like not paying attention to the TV. But I will say I just like that it was a good defensive game. Like I can't be mad at that at all. I think especially when you're in a championship scenario, you want to see two teams have to adjust, have to sit down and actually think the game as well instead of just being no adjustments and nobody can get a stop. So I was okay with it, but it took a while for I think everybody in the world to really super lock into this game, even though it was close pretty much the whole game. But yeah, I agree with you, Pep. It was definitely it was slow. The game was definitely slow.
Yeah, and then it's like Mahomes. Usually when you're thinking about Mahomes and Kansas City, you're thinking about Travis Kelce, of course, and then Tyreek Hill, who's no longer there, who's in Miami. I'm wondering if Tyreek Hill is like, man, what the heck? I shouldn't have never left Kansas. I don't know. That was a conversation we had. Like, man, I bet Tyreek Hill is pissed off that he ain't there because he could be running all over him. But hey, you are where you are. But the thing about it is, Kansas City, after Kelce, I mean, yeah, I know who Mecole Hardman is. I know he's been around a while. But other than him, if you look at the names, Watson, Rice, Gray, and we know Valdez Scantling was with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. But, other than those are not household names.
Agree.
And they weren't putting up household stats. But he still got it done. I mean, come on, man. 34 of 46, 333 yards. And most of the stats for the receivers were pedestrian. It's amazing. So man. And then of course the running game was so-so, Pacheco, but where's Clyde Edwards-Helaire? I remember in the first Super Bowl, he was running over everybody. Now he can't even get in the game. He had 1 carry and got nothing. It's like, man, what's going on? But so it's just amazing to me how Kansas City. So I guess is that a testament to Mahomes and Andy Reid?
I think so, for sure.
Yeah,
it is definitely
right. All right, so when we come back, we'll discuss more on the Super Bowl. We'll put a button on it, and then of course we got some news here for the Seahawks, and then we'll try and get into some NBA. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
This is Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth. Generational wealth. What is generational wealth? We asked our communities, and this is what they had to say.
Generational wealth to me is setting up a safety net for the future, not only for yourself, but for the generations to come. To not have the future generations, maybe in your own family, to have to go through the same trials that you had to go through. Maybe if you went through something hard when you were younger, maybe being poor, being middle class, or not having the money to have access to the things that other people around you do. It's setting up that safety net so that not only you, maybe later in your life, but also your kids, their kids, can end up having the luxuries that you would have wanted when you were young.
This campaign to create awareness to generational wealth is brought to you by the Department of Neighborhood's Generational Wealth Initiative, the Washington Housing Finance Commission, and Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Create your generational wealth for you and the future of your families.
Mga kaibigan, ito po si Kuya Bert Kawili.
And this is Miles Salvador from Australia.
And I'm Norb Kawili, also known as Norbcam.
Kung gusto niyo po ang latest news and events from the Philippines at the local Filipino community, Phil Radio po.
We play Filipino music and interview guests from all around the world.
And I'll keep you updated on the latest Seahawks and sports news.
Kaya always tune in, Phil Radio, every Tuesday, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Rainier Avenue Radio World.
And in YouTube and Facebook. Salamat po.
1, 2, get down. What's up, big and little homies? This is Masvita Maraire, host of Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio World, your one-stop shop for Seattle sports. We cover preps, we cover college, we cover pro, we cover it all. Huskies, Mariners, Seahawks, Garfield, South, Roosevelt, Petro, King County. This is where you want to listen to for all the sports that's happening in Seattle. Seattle Sports Weekly on Rainier Avenue Radio World.
My name is Keith. I'm a barber from Tacoma, Washington. When the pandemic hit, it did affect me as a business owner. I had my own personal reasons why I didn't get vaccinated. But I was talking to a doctor, and he was telling me more about what it could do to protect us and our family. I wanted to get back to that once was, right? I do feel safe knowing that I am vaccinated. I just hope what I'm saying is reaching into people's heads to know that this is the best decision for all of us. To learn more, please visit hereforuswa.org.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not helping bad girls set up their websites, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio World.
Welcome back, everybody, to LidLine Sports right here on Rainier Avenue Radio World. Remember, all month long, Tuesday through Sunday, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., we have a Call to Conscience Black History Month Museum right here at 4916 Rainier Avenue South here in the South Columbia City in Seattle, featuring exhibits and installations by Seattle Black Panther Party, Rainier Cinema, and etc. So don't forget, all month long from February 1st to the 29th. Yes, it is a leap year. Call to Conscience Black History Month Museum right here, 4916 Rainier Avenue South. Also, this Thursday, February 15th at 6 p.m., Nasty Mix reunion with Ness Rodriguez and Columbia City Theater. Oh, man, that's my birthday, too, so maybe I should hit that. So anyway, Nasty Mix reunion right here at the Columbia City Theater, 4916 Rainier Avenue South, February 15th at 6 p.m. Oh, my man. So, who were you rooting for, by the way? I didn't catch that.
I got a lot of flack, but I didn't necessarily wasn't rooting for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple friendly wagers out with friends, but like I said, I did think that the 49ers were the better team. But my heart definitely was telling me not to go against Mahomes. But I really did think the 49ers were the better overall team, though.
Okay, so I'm going to put you down as on my list because you didn't listen to me last week when I told you, do not underestimate Kansas City, the defending champions. Come on, man.
Yep.
That's
I
right.
I learned my lesson. I'll never bet against Pat Mahomes again. And that's usually like my go-to, like when it comes to like these big games. When there's a Tom Brady or LeBron James or now Pat Mahomes, it's really tough to go against some of those guys. But
right,
that's why.
Yep. Well, lesson learned. That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, listen, they taught me a lesson earlier. When I thought earlier this year, regular season, when they were mediocre, I was like, well, they got to go on the road. And win some playoffs game for me to be impressed.
Yep.
And they did exactly that. They went to Buffalo and beat them, went to Baltimore and beat them, and of course now they beat the mighty 49ers in the Super Bowl. So man, hey, I'm not lesson learned for me too. But we got some news up here in the Pacific Northwest as well. The Seattle Seahawks finally solidified their main coaching decisions. selecting their OC and their DC. They still have, I think, a couple of more like line positions to filter or figure out or to fill out. Thank you. What such like a quarterbacks coach or interior lineman coach or whatever. So, but anyway, they got a new DC in Aden Durday. I think it's Aden. I've heard it both ways, Aden or Aden, and I've heard Aden most of the time. So I'm going to go with Aden Durday. And then for the offensive coordinator job, the Seahawks selected, or did they steal? Ryan Grubb away from the University of Alabama. Your thoughts on the coaching selections?
They definitely stole. But I like that. I like how innovative the staff has been so far. All the way from the head coaching to the OC to the coordinators. I am actually, unlike the Mariners, I actually am excited to look forward to possibly what the Seahawks can do. Have a good draft, hopefully. And I really am excited for the Seahawks to, like I said, I'm glad the Seahawks they weren't okay with being mediocre. It wasn't just good enough to be a 500 team and possibly make the playoffs. You see how aggressive they are with finding the right pieces to make this thing get back to where it once was 5-7 years ago. So I hope the Mariners can take some type of notice of that. But I really do like what the Seahawks have done so far.
Yeah, I do too. I haven't been excited about them in a long time, but we don't need to get into all that.
Yeah.
Ad nauseum. But yeah, this is very, very interesting. So now the big thing now is what we're going to do. Well, actually, Geno decision is going to be this week, coming up probably the 16th, I think. They have to make a decision on what they're going to do as far as the money for Geno, whether they extend him or whatever. Some, guarantee, if they keep him for guaranteed money, or they're going to cut him and then maybe bring him back or something. I don't know what they're going to do as far as that. But after that, the big thing is going to be the NFL draft, and that's going to be really exciting because we don't know what they're going to do this time as far as, under Pete Carroll, we always knew that because of where they were positioned in the first round, like late 20s, that they were always going to trade back 9 times out of 10. But now the last year, of course, they were selected at number 5 and at number 22. And so they kept those, thank goodness. And then this year, now we're at 16, which is like middle of the pack, of course, right? Because there's 32 teams, so they're right in the middle. So it's going to be interesting to find out what they're going to do. Are they going to get the guy that they feel that is going to be best suited for them? Or are they going to, do something we don't expect? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think the need? Well, we know what the needs are, right? We know they need linebackers. We know they need probably a quarterback because Geno is who he is and his age and whatnot. They're going to need to focus on getting a guy here because look, McDonald's got a 6-year deal. He's not going to try and spend 2 and 3 years of those with Geno. It ain't. You got to think about that. He's not going to spend his early years with a quarterback that is not going to be the guy. So they're going to try. They're going to have to find the guy that they can count on for the next several years because he's riding on it. His job is riding on that.
I still think too. I think it's a big glaring hole, but I think unless somebody who they are super excited about is there at quarterback with that 16th pick, they got to get a run stuffer on the defensive line. And that's something they really need to shore up in the draft. The linebacker.
Well, don't you think they need to sign Big Cat, Leonard Williams, re-sign him?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely bring him back. And you're right too. Linebacker is definitely something that is needed. But it's just tough that I don't know, Pep. Do you really see the Seahawks taking quarterback at 16 when it's not the biggest need?
It depends on who's available.
Okay.
I mean, look, at 16, if Drake May is there, you're probably gonna have to take him.
Okay.
I don't expect him to be there, but if Bo Nix is there, you probably should take him. I mean, you got you got to make a decision on. You need a quarterback. You're gonna need one, and if a guy like that is there, you're probably gonna have to take him.
Penix is for sure too. You think you gotta take him? Okay.
Only question about him, I'm concerned about his mobility for the NFL because those linebackers and defensive ends and carrying on edge rushers, man, them guys are quick, super quick, and he ain't the most mobile guy. He can be, he can run a little bit, but to be honest, he's not the most mobile guy. And if our offensive line ain't holding up, it's going to be ugly.
Agree.
And he doesn't deserve that. Right? He deserves way better than that. So it depends. Of course, everybody's saying because Ryan Grubb was selected as the OC that it's a foregone conclusion that Penix will be the guy. And no, it is not. It is not a foregone conclusion at all because, Penix was great for UW. There's no look, there's no question about that. But now we're talking about a different level. And and Grubb himself is going to have to figure out if what Penix did in college will translate to his style or what he wants to do with the Seahawks, for the NFL. So we don't know. We'll find out. It's exciting. I'm excited. And then right now on the text line, I got Andrew Schroeder and Michael Carter going at it, talking about the Jets in Miami, and it's pretty hilarious. I love it. Yeah, keep it up, guys. I like it. But anyway, so enough of that. Let's get into some. Before we get into the your expertise, the NBA, I want to give a shout out to the Garfield Bulldogs, girls and boys, winners of Metro championships. I went to the game with Michael on Friday and we had a great time. The Garfield girls started off a little slow, but then once they kicked it into gear in the latter part of the second quarter on to finish the game, they were lethal. And I forget the girl's name that's really good for them.
Katie Fieso.
Thank you. Oh man, I enjoyed watching her. She's an assassin.
Yep.
She hits some tough shots and it's like nothing to her, right? I mean, I saw some shots that she put up, some jumpers that it was like, oh yeah, ho hum. But to me, they was like, wow. And
she's really good.
Yeah, she really is. And then on the men's side, the boys' side, I got to see Legend Smiley for the first time. Listen, I know I've seen his dad and his grandfather play, and they were great. And then I look at him, and I see he's got those genes. He's got that. He's got game, and he reminds me of a bigger DJ Wagner. Because he's bigger than DJ, and he's got the same type of game, and I really like that. I really enjoyed watching him. He's poised. He can get a little out of control, but look, these are young cats. I expect that. These people forget these are high school guys. These are 15, 16, 17-year-old cats, man, out there playing on the court. So yeah, they're gonna get out of control and do some things that are kind of silly every now and then. But when you look at the overall talent and overall nature of his game, I really am impressed with him. I like him a lot. I have the same feeling when I watched Zach when he was a kid, Zach LaVine. I had the same type of feeling when I watched DeJounte Baby Boy Murray when he was a kid in high school. So yeah, he's got that same vibe for me. That he's gonna be splendid.
Agree.
Yeah.
Everything is staggered.
All right, so let's get to the NBA, bro. You had the trade deadline wrap up, and then you got some stuff going on with the Bucks, of course, again, and of course the Lakers made no moves. What's up?
Yeah, this trade deadline was more, there was some names out there, not super big names, but you heard DeJounte Murray's name float out there. That was probably the biggest name on the trade deadline, but they still didn't put the Atlanta Hawks just didn't garner enough either interest, and just the right package to trade him. I was hearing that earlier in the week that they were leaning towards keeping him. They gave up a lot to get him from the San Antonio Spurs. They gave up multiple first-round draft picks, so they wanted to try to garner some of that back, but teams were really hell-bent now these days of keeping those first-round draft picks because they are just so they're bigger. What's the word? Just trade picks, or they're just more useful nowadays, and people like to hoard them or to use them later on. And you heard that with the Lakers trying to possibly go in and get DeJounte Murray. They did not want to give up on a first-round draft pick to get him. Now they will have 3 going into the draft. So, they're going to go and try to see if they can find that big name who's possibly on the trade block. But this trade deadline was more about the teams trying to now who are probably going to be in the playoffs look to make playoff pushes. To start off, you saw the Mavericks. I thought really did a really solid job. They went to go get PJ Washington from the Dallas Mavericks. They gave a first-round pick for that. Then they went and got Daniel Gafford from the Washington Wizards, who I've watched a lot this season. He is a really good young center who is a rim protector, a rim runner, and that's a perfect fit next to Luka Doncic. So
and you need that in the playoffs.
Yes, exactly. Now they did get rid of Grant Williams, which I was really shocked about, and I think a lot of people were too because they just paid him this offseason. But I was hearing rumors that he really didn't get along well. He rubbed some of the people on the locker room the wrong way.
Right.
So they got them out of there. And I also thought it was a solid pickup for Charlotte because we know there's just nothing going on there. And they need veterans in that locker room. So they got one who's locked into a deal for 4 years. Hopefully that can help long term. I thought another team who did a really good job picking up a piece. I know he's hurt. And so it just depends on when he's healthy again. But I liked what the OKC Thunder did getting Gordon Hayward from the Charlotte Hornets. They need another perimeter scorer. They got one in Gordon Hayward who is hurt. But we all know who the winners of the trade deadline was. The New York Knicks have been super aggressive, Pep, ever since getting OG Anunoby on the trade. But they went to the New York Knicks or to the Detroit Pistons and offered them a bevy of young pieces that they liked. Quentin Grimes, they liked. Evan Fournier, we know they were trying to get rid of him, but they got rid of some second-round pieces. But they got 2 big pieces, and Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks, 2 scorers to help take the load off of Julius Randle when he gets back. And, of course, Jalen Brunson. They are a formidable team, and if they can find a way to mesh in these next 2 months, they're going to be a team that those teams like Milwaukee and Boston and Philly possibly getting Joel Embiid back here in the next month or 2. They're not going to want to play the New York Knicks, who I
want the Knicks to be good so bad, bro.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I think go ahead.
No,
man, over there about it.
I know because all that time I spent back there, man. I got some serious affinity, love for them.
Yeah,
and and of course, when the Nets, when I was there, was in New Jersey, so I used to go to their games, and I was a Nets fan first. So when the Nets and Knicks play, I always root for the Nets, and probably still will be hold true. But I am glad that the Knicks are looking good, and I can't wait till they get healthy with Anunoby and Randall back, and then Jalen Brunson. I saw him on was it Jimmy Fallon? One of those talk shows the other night. He is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even talking about his basketball. I'm talking about him as a person.
Yep.
I mean, I was like, man, I was blown away on how impressed I was with him just hearing him talk and what he was, his demeanor and what he was talking about, man, it was like, man, this guy, he gets it. This guy, I am so glad the Knicks got it. They got it right by getting him.
Yep. There's somebody you want to go on a war with, is for sure Jalen Brunson. So yeah, those guys definitely were the winners of the trade deadline, in my opinion. The Knicks are now basically saying we're going to try to make a run at getting to the finals this year, and I like that. The 76ers, they went and got some reinforcers to hold on until Joel Embiid gets back. They got Buddy Hield from the 76ers. Or from the Pacers. He's been playing really well so far since he got there last week.
Good. I've always liked him, even when he was in Oklahoma. As far as the college game days.
Yep.
I always liked him. Yeah.
He was really nice at Oklahoma. Another really solid pickup, and it was funny because Pat Beverly he goes to the Milwaukee Bucks. But usually, guys like Shams and Woj are usually the first to tweet. He tweeted out his own trade before.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty cool too to see that, and I thought that is exactly the type of piece that the Milwaukee Bucks needed: a strong defensive-minded point guard, but also he doesn't back down to anybody on that team.
Right.
And I think that's something that Giannis and Damian Lillard needed. I don't know if you saw his first game there. He already had a clipboard in his hand trying to draw up a play to show Brook Lopez something. And like I said, I love it. As much as people may hate.
Pat Bev, in probably the last year maybe or more, he's really kind of adjusted his personality.
Yep.
To me, he's more likable now.
Yeah, he is definitely.
I'm actually starting to like this guy because before I couldn't stand him. Right? He was an agitator and it's like he's not as he's not as good as he thought he was, blah blah blah. And of course I heard all about his high school exploits in Chicago and all that. And he grew up and all that. I get that. But now he seems to have adjusted. It's like the pro attitude the light has turned on for him. And I like to see that. I'm happy and I hope he's successful. And look, it seems to me if he's grabbing clipboards and all that, to me, that tells me he might be on the coaching path. And
I wouldn't be mad at that. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. But yeah, I thought that was a really good pickup for them. And then another good pickup too. I thought the Suns did a really good job of adding some wing depth. They got Royce O'Neal from the Brooklyn Nets, very solid 3-and-D wing. They get him and also David Roddy from the Memphis Grizzlies, a younger player. Those were the big trades. Now, the big buyout market is out there. Marcus Morris got traded. He's looking to get bought out. Kyle Lowry got traded early on to Terry Rozier. He just got bought out from Charlotte, and he will be going on to Philly. So Philly also gets another piece in Kyle Lowry.
Right. He's from Philly, I think.
Yes, yes. Yeah. And then the biggest buyout piece was Spencer Dinwiddie was traded from the Brooklyn Nets in exchange for Dennis Schroeder, and then a surprise move. The Raptors they waived him. He had a kicker coming in, a $1 million kicker that if he wasn't off the books in a week or something like that, they would have to pick that up. So that happens. 2 days later, you see him at the next Lakers game sitting next to their GM, and you already started hearing the whispers that it was between the Lakers and Dallas.
Yeah,
so he did sign.
I love Dinwiddie. Man, that hurt me when the Nets got rid of him. I'm a Dinwiddie guy. I like him. I've always liked him. But I get it. But I think he's from LA, so that's probably his first choice.
Yeah. Now I am interested to see how that works. Is he going to start? Does it bring Austin Reeves back off the bench, or does he come off the bench? I'm a little concerned with just how he's playing this year, shooting wise. That's something that the Lakers are looking to add from him, shooting. But nonetheless, he was the best player in the buyout market. You definitely add him to your team if you can. So I thought that was a good ad for the Lakers. But yeah,
I hope he goes to Dallas because I can't stand the Lakers. So. But I like Dinwiddie, so I'm gonna root for him wherever he goes. Oh, by the way, I wanted to tell you, I will be in Phoenix next month.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna hit a spring training game or two, and also the Suns have 2 home games while I'm there.
You gotta catch one.
I'm gonna try and catch the Celtics one. It's a Saturday.
That's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and catch that, and then I'll give you a shout out if I can.
Be on the lookout. What did Steve Kerr say? He said it was like a big techno party inside the Suns arena. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
You ready? I just think there's a lot of energy in that building, man. It's a rejuvenated, re-energized Suns fan base over these last few years, and they just show it at every game. And I know Steve Kerr wasn't too happy with the
part. That sounds
yeah.
Fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
I went to a Sixer game years ago, and I swear I thought I was at an R&B concert. I loved it, but I was like, man, am I at an NBA game? Is Usher coming out, or Chris Brown? I was expecting somebody to come out because it was R&B up.
Where was this at?
In Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but this was years ago, and I'm talking it was so long ago. The Sonics were there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So, and the Sonics smashed them. Yeah, for my birthday. Yeah, it was lovely. But man, it was R&B'd up. I was like, man, this is dope.
Speaking of the Suns, did you catch? They did play the Warriors on Saturday.
Yes.
This was the first time that Draymond and Nurkic have met again since suspension, and they picked it right back up from those 2 players. And I think from Draymond's standpoint, it definitely got him going to see, Nurkic coming at him like that, talking trash, because he had a really good game. And I thought it kind of took Nurkic out of his game, that he paid too much attention to what was going on with him and Draymond instead of playing basketball. And I do think it hurt. But the shot that Steph Curry hit to put them up, too, man.
Yeah, I had to see the highlights because I listened to the game when I was on the radio. I went to a concert on Saturday. We went to see the Four Tops and the Temptations, which was outstanding.
Nice.
So when I saw the highlights later, man, that was awesome though. That shot, Curry, man, come on, man. That's in the past was terrible. He had to go get it and then pulled up right away. And it's like, man, yeah, he's definitely one of those guys like Mahomes.
Yep.
He's in that category.
Yeah,
right? He's an elite guy on the court. So yeah, that's just amazing.
Bucks now won 2 in a row, 2 blowouts over really 2 good teams.
Okay.
So we'll see what's going on over there. Maybe Doc is starting to find that niche with these guys, but they are playing much better basketball these last few days too.
Yeah, that's good. Look, I'm just glad he's not on TV.
Yeah.
Oh, but man, it was good recap on the Super Bowl, bro, and good info on the NBA.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of Mr. O, Otis Stevenson, I am Pep. See you guys next week.